The story of the British one-penny coin of 1909 begins long before the turn of the 20th century, because the penny was not simply a unit of currency, but a symbol of Britain's economic power, its imperial reach, and its social transformation. By the time 1909 arrived, the British penny had already undergone centuries of evolution shaped by monarchs, minting innovations, industrial progress, and the changing needs of everyday people. To understand the one penny of 1909, you must journey back to the foundations of British coinage when the penny first appeared in Anglo-Saxon times as a small silver coin struck by hand and bearing the symbols of early kings and local mints. Over many centuries, the penny slowly transformed, and by the Victorian era, it had evolved from silver to bronze, reflecting the shifting economics of 19th century Britain. As the Industrial Revolution accelerated and Britain expanded across the globe, the bronze penny became a coin that touched every level of society, from farm laborers to factory workers, from sailors in distant colonies to merchants in crowded city markets. By 1909, Britain was in the final decade of the long Victorian and Edwardian monetary tradition that defined the bronze penny. The reigning monarch in 1909 was King Edward VII, though he would pass away in 1910, leaving behind a short but significant reign that influenced the design and production of British coinage. The one-penny coin of 1909 carried his portrait created by the talented engraver George William de Sole, who was responsible for some of the most refined and dignified portraits of British monarchs in the early 20th century. Edward VII's likeness on the penny featured a mature and confident profile, symbolizing stability, continuity, and imperial pride. This portrait dominated the obverse side of the coin, while the reverse presented the classic figure of Britannia, seated with shield and trident, a design that had become iconic throughout the Victorian era. Britannia represented Britain's naval supremacy, and the idea of a unified, powerful nation guiding its empire through global change. The 1909 penny was struck in bronze composed of copper, tin, and zinc. This alloy gave the coin its distinctive warm reddish-brown color and allowed it to withstand heavy circulation in the pockets, tills, and money drawers of early 20th century Britain. Each penny measured 30.8 millimeters in diameter, making it a large coin compared to modern standards, and it weighed around 9.4 grams, giving it a solid presence. These physical characteristics meant the penny was easy to handle and identify even in dimly lit factories, shops, or streets. The size and weight also reflected a time when coins needed to convey tangible value through their physical form, long before the digital age when currency became abstract. In 1909, the Royal Mint was still deeply committed to fine craftsmanship and traditional minting methods, though it was also gradually adopting more modern machinery and improved quality control. The striking of the 1909 penny represented this blend of tradition and progress. Each coin was carefully produced to ensure that the portrait of Edward VII and the image of Britannia appeared crisp and clear. The lettering around the edges, including the Latin inscription proclaiming the king as Edward VII by the E, Grace of God, King of all the Britons, Defender of the Faith and Emperor of India, reflected the immense scope of the British Empire at that time. Collectors today admire the 1909 penny for the harmony of its design and the richness of its details, all of which embody the craftsmanship of early 20th century British minting. But the importance of the penny in 1909 was not limited to its artistic and technical qualities. It played an essential role in daily life. The value of a penny could buy small but important goods, including basic food items, simple tools, or children's sweets. It circulated in marketplaces alongside shillings, half-crowns, and sovereigns, linking ordinary people to the vast economic system of Britain. Because of its wide use, the penny became a familiar object to every citizen. Workers would receive pennies as part of their wages. Mothers would count pennies to budget household expenses. Children would save pennies for toys or special treats, and shopkeepers would hear the clink of pennies throughout the day. In this way, the 1909 penny was woven into the fabric of daily existence. The year 1909 itself was a time of significant change in Britain. The social and political climate was shifting as new ideas about workers' rights, social welfare, and taxation began to circulate. King Edward VII's reign, though, marked a period of modernization in British society with advances in technology, transportation, and communication. The penny of 1909 witnessed the bustle of expanding cities, the growth of new industries, the rise of organized labor movements, and the cultural shifts of the Edwardian age. In streets lined with horse-drawn carriages and early motor cars, in factories filled with the noise of machines and the chatter of workers, in rural villages, where traditional life continued at a slower pace, the penny served as a constant companion in everyday economic activity. Collectors and historians often view the 1909 penny as the closing chapter of an era because Edward VII died in 1910, and his successor, King George V, would introduce a new era of coinage with his own portrait. The 1909 issue is therefore historically meaningful because it represents the final full year of Edward VII's pennies before the mint transitioned to new designs. Many examples of the 1909 penny survive today, though their condition varies. Circulated coins often show smooth areas from years of handling, while uncirculated specimens reveal the full beauty of their original mint luster. Collectors appreciate the 1909 penny not only for its aesthetic value, but also for its connection to a pivotal time in British history. The metallurgy of the 1909 penny itself offers insight into the priorities of the Royal Mint. Bronze was selected to provide durability and affordability while still maintaining an attractive appearance. The metal mixture contributed to the coin's longevity, allowing many pieces to remain intact over a century later. These coins may show subtle variations in tone and coloration depending on environmental exposure. Some develop deep chocolate-brown patina, while others retain traces of the original red tint that collectors refer to as red or red-brown. These colors tell a story about the journey each coin has taken through pockets' hands and decades of circulation. The mintages of the penny under Edward VII varied from year to year, but 1909 saw a solid level of production, ensuring that the coin reached communities across the United Kingdom and even circulated in some British territories abroad. The spread of these coins across the empire serves as a reminder of how British currency functioned as a unifying economic force. For someone living in Britain in 1909, the penny was not just currency but a symbol of the empire's identity.